Hi, everyone. My name's Simon Devine. I'm from Hopton Analytics. Before I start, a quick disclaimer for you. I'm a technical consultant, really, rather than a salesperson. So you could suggest, actually, I'm more sales prevention than anything else. This session is called GenBI meets AI-driven analytics. The theme is a simple one. It's from ideas to impact. You'll hear a lot over this few days about GenBI and AI and what it can do for you. This session is about real users, real businesses, and real governance. As a business, Hopton, we're located in Leeds, and that's where a lot of our story starts. We're a consultancy that helps organizations worldwide, and we turn data into decisions that actually get made. Sometimes we're also based in London, I should point that out as well. Sometimes this means that we use AI, sometimes it means that we don't, and we're okay with that. Not everything has to be super sexy, hence why I'm doing the presentation and not someone else. What we're known for at Hopton is making technology usable. And not just building dashboards, but building decisions and tools that people actually use. And that's the lens that I'm going to talk about today through. So we work across the UK and Ireland. We work in government, retail, healthcare, manufacturing, housing, education, and more. But today's story isn't a lab-based theory. It's not sex and sizzle sales messages. It's a real client with real challenges and real outcomes. And that's pretty important to us. So, before I jump in, let's set the scene. Traditional BI is built with dashboards and fixed drill paths. You explore data in predefined ways, and it only really works in the way that the report designer imagined it would work. Generative BI, or GenBI, shifts the story from dashboards to dialogue. You ask the question in plain English, the system responds with a chart, a clear explanation, and it's all traceable with governed data that you can trust. This is the foundation of everything that follows. So with GenBI, we move to conversational queries, Traditional BI is pre-built dashboards, fixed drill paths. GenBI, conversational queries, natural language, explainable answers. Quick sense check from the room in terms of where you are with GenBI today. So, if I could ask, hands up, who's watching GenBI as a technology? Anyone could put their hands up? Fantastic. What about investigating? Actively looking? Cool. Experimenting? Playing for real? Brilliant. Any live in production? Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. So thanks for playing along. You don't win anything, but you're in the right room that you played along, which is great. So, I mentioned we're going to talk about a real client. So East of England Co-op, their reporting had become a bit of a bottleneck. Analysts were overwhelmed. Operational teams were waiting. Decisions were slower than they needed to be. This is probably something you can all recognize as an organization. Reporting, analysis, information is slowing you down. If we look at the industry at large, and these are industry stats, 80% of data is stale. A whopping 85% of organizations say that that data costs them money. These are some serious numbers if you think about this in concept. Importantly, when we look at this and how we work with our clients and organizations, we're not trying to revolutionize anything. All we want to do is help organizations make better decisions faster and with more confidence. To start with the problem, not with the tech, and that's a really important message as well. So at Hopton, we partnered with Pyramid Analytics. Pyramid includes GenBI, which is native, governed, explainable, and a layer within the BI platform. It's not a bolt-on, it's not a chatbot, it's not go externally to use another tool. This mattered for us because we want the people to trust AI. It must feel part of the system. It's got to be something that lives within there, not some magic that's a bolt-on. Trust is something that we'll return to a little bit later when we talk. So when we approach BI projects, how do we do these? Well, we start with three clear things that we want to achieve, three goals, if you like. Reduce the backlog, get rid of those report requests, start to speed things up, empower operational teams to allow them to do self-service insights, and embed explainability so people can trust what they see and it's not just numbers on the screen. We're not looking at moonshots here. We're not trying to do some super magic. We're only looking for practical, measurable improvements. This only works really because governance comes first. We scope use cases. We configure the likes of GenBI within the data model. We involve users early, especially the skeptics. We answer tough questions such as, what if AI gets it wrong? Who's accountable? How do we explain the explanation even? Rob from East of England Co-op says that governance wasn't a blocker, it was the reason that it worked. And this foundation, governance, clarity, user involvement, this sets things for the future. This sets everything up. So when we start with natural language querying, which is in effect letting users ask in plain English, we want to ensure that they get answers that they can trust. We do it through layered synonyms. These are contextual, traceable, all linked back to the data. And because it's all inside of Pyramid, users don't have to jump between tools. It feels like one platform. It doesn't feel like a gimmick or an add-on or we should include AI. So let's talk through a use case with a fictional ops manager we'll call Shauna. She's not technical, she runs a team, she manages stock, she deals with suppliers. She's looking for answers, not analytics. Ultimately, I think that's what we're all looking for. In actual fact, Shauna is real. She's a member of the Hopton team. She sat at the front taking pictures that I'll ask her to delete as soon as we finish this. So, what sort of messages do we hear this one? I waited 2 weeks for a report, and I didn't understand it when I got it. The amount of organizations who say similar, I waited forever, and then when I got it, it doesn't make sense. I've got to ask another question, sometimes a day, sometimes 2 weeks. We know this happens, and I bet a good proportion of you have this as a frustration. Now we're able to use the BI platform. Now the users are able to use the BI platform, and get the answer that they want in plain English. See the chart that they want, get the information. Fewer delays, less friction, more confidence in the system. So it's worthwhile talking about some things that worked, but we'll also, don't worry, also talk about some things that did not. Natural query language or natural language or traditional AI, whatever you might want to call it, just clicked. The moment users realize that they can trust the content, the moment they realize they can ask a question and get an answer, they start to believe in it and are comfortable with it. It requires data that's accurate. We know that. The other important message to say is this is not ChatGPT. I can't ask a BI tool to take a photo and turn me into my favorite animal. We're talking contextual data that relates to our BI tool. Trust wasn't automatic, for sure, but we're able to use the information. We're able to, the users are able to get their time back, and as soon as that starts to happen, as soon as they get the information they want, confidence increases. It does take a little bit of time. That's an important message. Adoption takes longer than expected. Trust does not come straight away. People don't trust what they don't understand. We've got to make sure explanations are clearer. We've got to make sure it goes back to the data. We've got to make sure they can see the logic. And if needed, we've got to redesign parts of this so it fits with users' day-to-day working experience. Adoption, to me, is a design problem. It's not a training problem. You've got to make sure that users, consumers, if you like, can understand what they're doing and how it works. So, what's actually changed? 40% reduction in the backlog for report requirements because users can simply create some of this themselves. From 2 weeks to 2 hours in terms of asking for answers and receiving them. I love this one because it can never be proven. 30% increase in happiness. Should have put 110% increase in happiness. But user satisfaction actually is an important thing for us, especially when we invest in new tools. And the important thing is, we start with a problem, we build the governance, we build the explainability, and we design for adoption. And in fairness, we're proud of these numbers. So if you were going to do the same thing and implement something like Pyramid within your organization with AI inbuilt, what would we suggest you do? Start with the problem. Tech's fantastic. You've got 2 whole enormous rooms full of some fantastic tools here. But we're not just talking about simple things. What we want to do is go back to the basics. We don't want to desperately search for a problem to fit our amazing tool. We want to use the things that are important, especially when it comes to AI. Governance isn't a blocker, it's an enabler, especially again when it comes to GenBI, to make it usable, to make it safe, to make it secure. We've got to put that trust in first and governance. And explainability matters. If people don't understand how the system works, they won't believe it. If they don't believe it, they're not going to use it. And that comes back to adoption as well. I mentioned this before, adoption is design. Design it for the consumer, if you like, for the user, and adoption will follow. Ignore design, adoption will fail. Don't leave this principle. You know, we all carry mobile phones, super easy to use, really well designed. Don't leave them in your pocket. Consider that same concept when designing BI reports and dashboards. And start small, plan big, really important. It's worth mentioning this wasn't a pilot. This is a platform. We're talking about real users here, real outcomes and real decisions. One last thought as well to mention in terms of AI, we come back to how it's important that it has a practical use. This presentation is not something I've remembered. You could say, well, that's obvious by your presentation style. I am a techie again. Actually, I'm wearing AI glasses. My presentation's scrolling in front of my eyes. I'd take them off, but I'll lose my place. The point, though, use the technology for the purpose that adds value to the organization. So, if you're interested and want to learn more about how at Hopton with Pyramid Analytics we helped the East of England Co-op, click the link. The link should take you to a registration place. Enter your details. Within 24 hours, we'll send on a framework, a checklist, and a scoping guide that you can use. Finally, I guess, if you're interested in learning more, come and see the team at Pyramid. They're on stand L80. I'll be there as well, or grabbing a beer, probably a mixture of the two. And if you're interested in contacting, that's my contact details, hoptonanalytics.com, and that's our LinkedIn profile. Thank you for your time.